Hey everybody. Oh, I've been derelict in my duty. Well, I've been away for a couple of days and now I'm back. I'm going to do lesson 298. I love you, Father, and I love your son. And there's some. When I read these lessons, okay, here's the beginning of this lesson. My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear. Okay? I'm not sure if I'll be able to express this the right way. Jesus uses pronouns. I understand that there's an experience that people have, and it's mostly attempting to align with sort of the Eastern tradition, wherein which the idea of personal pronouns become somewhat of the use of personal pronouns becomes somewhat of a sacrilege because there's this idea or experience that the self that we are is not a personal self, and there's no, in the sense, idea of my or I to it. There's no I. A lot of people like to talk, so there would be no my. There would be no you in that sense, or me in that sense. There would only be this amorphous self. And it's obvious when you read Jesus that um, he doesn't mince words that way. And in fact, has no problem with someone saying, "My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear." And why is that? Because when you come to know yourself as the Christ that you were created to be, as God created you to be, as Jesus discovered about himself and who he was in reality, and therefore even here and now, okay, which was his great discovery, that there was nothing in this world of space and time, including death, which could ever change his eternal identity as the living Son of God, one with his Father, one with our Father Creator, okay, and one with the Holy Spirit, who aided and abetted him in his discovery. Believe me, okay, because when you begin to experience that self and begin to come to understand who you are as the Christ, a true understanding of who you are as the Christ could not exclude your brother as the Christ either. So the idea that it's possessive or that there's some sort of ability to, how do I say this, um, use a pronoun such as I improperly because there's an attempt to get credit or be credited with that I is absurd in the face of the experience that Jesus has and had of himself and of you as a shared self and whole perfect identity, as my whole perfect identity, which we share together. Because the idea of taking personal credit, it does not exist in the experience of Christ recognizing himself as he who he is. So therefore, the meaning Jesus as Christ gives to these pronouns has zero to do with the meaning that someone who is attempting to deny or affirm something about a self that they've experienced in transcendence that is not personal or can't be personal, the necessity, that self needs no defense. Whether you call it myself, ourself, itself, it needs no defense. And any attempt to define it one way or the other is going to be false. And it is my gratitude for that fact It is definitely my gratitude that that self is unchanging and cannot be, how do I say this? Cannot be um, affected, nor can it be contradicted by um, any egoic co-opting, because there's no such thing as the ego in the true experience of yourself as Christ when you're joined with your brother and one through the Holy Spirit with our Father. There would be no ability in that for the ego to co-opt it. It's only in a dream where I think I can be something other than myself can I believe there is an alternative power that could make that happen. Okay? My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear. And thus I am restored to my reality at last. All that intruded on my holy sight, forgiveness takes away. Forgiveness only takes away that which is not there in reality. Forgiveness takes away that which doesn't exist and removes it in your mind, in the action of forgiveness, the meaning that you could possibly give it within space and time to be preventative from you knowing who you are, and in this case, intrude on your holy sight. Nothing can intrude on the holy sight of a mind that's utilizing forgiveness. And as I draw near the endless, and I draw near the end of senseless journeys, mad careers, and artificial values. And so it's not to say that we haven't been on senseless journeys. It's not to say that we haven't tried to use mad careers to save us from the misery that this life seems to offer us. And it's not to say that we haven't had artificial values, but it is to say that when we can see that we have had artificial values, that the mad careers that we have attempted to utilize within the world of space and time for a purpose of maintaining an identity and some sort of, how should I say it, peace of mind or comfort in the world have no word. And all of these senseless journeys we begin to hope are coming to an end, and they are simply because we see that they are no longer valuable, they are no longer useful for the purpose in achievement of the purpose we have chosen. Through the grace of God that we've been given to read about in text and begin to experience through the application of the lessons of the workbook, I accept instead what God establishes as mine, sure that in that alone I will be saved, sure that I go through fear to meet my love. Now, there are many times in the Course when Jesus makes statements to the effect that only what God establishes as mine is worthy for the Son of God. Or is this one? I accept instead what God establishes as mine, sure that in that alone I will be saved. Okay? There is no necessity prior to your decision to make that statement. There's no necessity, nor in fact can you know what God has established as yours until you utilize forgiveness in a way in which removes enough fear from your heart and mind that you allow a space clean of that fear and guilt to be utilized by the Holy Spirit in union with our Father to show you what He has established as yours. Because there is nothing in the world of space and time that is truly yours, because it is all nothing. It's an illusion. It's a dream. And God would not, and you can't value what has no value. You can't value the valueless, although that's what we've been doing. But now that we begin to understand, and I understand many of you conceptually can see what it is I'm talking about. Oh, if my pursuit is purely the action of forgiveness for the healing of my mind and returning me to the condition of mind and heart that God created me to be, in the recognition that I am saved, then obviously what I've been using and what I've been asking for in the world of space and time may not necessarily be beneficial or even useful to me on this journey. Okay? When we begin to think like that, without the need to define or identify what it is we need, but can through trust and forgiveness keep the space open in our mind and not attempt to fill it with that which does not work and has not worked. When we do that, then God, through the Holy Spirit, by His grace, begin to fill you with what it is you need in order to fulfill your function in a way in which you cannot use it against yourself, because you will have given up the purpose that you could have had in the need or desire to use it against yourself or your brother. And that's how you know you have given up the value or the need for it. Not only had you desire to have not hurt yourself, but you recognize that I cannot hurt myself and still want my brother to hurt. So not wanting my brother to hurt is not wanting myself to hurt. And the willingness to let that mode of thinking participate in the equations when we do have moments when we have to ask because we are uncertain any longer. We are now uncertain based on a statement like this, the end of senseless charity, mad careers, and artificial values. We see that we no longer want to make decisions that would bring those things into our life once again. Yet we may not know how to not make those decisions. We can recognize where we are, allow ourselves that space, ask God through the Holy Spirit to give us what we need without our identifying it, so that our altar is kept clean, we've placed ourselves on it, and now God can raise us up in a new condition of so what we were talking. I remember something we were talking about the other day. It is, in a sense, a new body that doesn't require the same things that the old body did, because the new mind that you're utilizing, the new mind that is utilizing the body in the dream to awaken and heal himself no longer requires anything of the dream at all. So you begin to lead a more simple life. And don't get me wrong, when I say simple, I mean your mind is uncluttered. It doesn't have the need to be busy. It doesn't have the need to work things out and work on problems, because it's recognized where its salvation is. It's recognized where its security lies. It knows where all real things come from. And it knows through what's called, what we've been doing, the utilization of the section on the Holy Spirit and now on the real world, how through the action of mind and forgiveness, when we turn our heart and our mind over, there's this translator or mediator called the Holy Spirit who turns that which previously allowed us to dream the dream of death into thoughts purified, so that now we can dream a dream of life, of resurrection, of service to man and mankind, in recognition of our brotherhood in a single creative reality. Father, I come to you today because I would not follow any way but yours. Don't think you need to know his way. Just be willing to only want to follow in his way. You are beside me, certain in your way, and I am grateful for your holy gifts of certain sanctuary and escape from everything that would obscure my love for God, my Father, and his Holy Son.